What's up, Potato fam? It's officially the beginning. As you can see next to me, I have 8 different bags of Huel, which is basically a nutritionally complete food. And for the next month, or basically the next 30 days, this is basically all I'm consuming. Essentially, it's basically like powdered food or a meal replacement. I've had Huel before, but I've never actually permanently lived off it. So it's going to be a very interesting journey for the next month. And what I'm going to be doing basically in this video and in this series is basically documenting what it's like from basically the start, obviously, then week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and obviously, the conclusion of this whole experience. I have no idea what to expect. This is basically, as you can see in front of me, what I'm going to be having the next month. I have a scoop right here, and obviously the water bottle. And basically every single day, I have to have 10 of these scoops. 2 of these scoops equals 1 serving, which is 400 calories. So then obviously having 10 scoops equals the 2,000 calories that I need for my diet. And basically everything in Huel is incredibly good for you. I did a lot of research on basically the nutritional facts, what's in it, does it truly have everything your body needs, not just in terms of the macronutrients like protein and so on and so forth, but obviously the micronutrients and the other things that you just need in your diet to kind of go about your day. I'm going to be doing all my normal workouts. Basically, I'm not changing anything. About my lifestyle besides the food. So it's going to be really interesting to see how it affects me, my mood, my productivity, how it's going to affect my workouts, how it's going to affect going out and my energy levels. I mean, who knows? But the journey begins, so we'll see what happens. All right, so it has been 1 week since I've officially been taking Huel, and it has been a very interesting week, to say the least. Now, first off, I have to stress that, like I said in the prior beginning video, Huel has everything your body needs. Basically, you can completely live off it. I even read one post on Reddit from I can't remember the exact title of his career, but he was like a bio engineer of nutrition. So basically, nutrition is his entire life. And he said, look, I was blown away because this is my career that Huel truly has everything your body needs and you can permanently live off it. However, it takes your body definitely a certain period of time to adjust to it. And I will say that the first week, that is definitely what happened with me because I went into it cold turkey. I've said before that I've had Huel before, but when I had it, it was usually like I'd had it post-workout or I'd have it just for lunch or I'd have it here and there. And when I basically jumped into doing this whole experiment, I went 100% into it, right? I quit having regular food and jumped right into having Huel. And I will say that you should not do that after my experience because I think especially going from solid food right to, powdered food essentially, your body definitely has to adjust. So in the first few days, I was not really feeling well. My stomach did not feel well. It was definitely a heavy adjustment period. So what I decided to do is basically kind of combine it where I had mostly Huel, but then some snacks here and there. And then now I'll say after doing it for about, obviously, like I said, a week now, it's been officially a week today, my body's now completely adjusted, which is great actually. And it's amazing because now there's a lot of interesting things that I realized, even in just the first week, that I didn't expect. The first thing is, I'm realizing that I have a lot more time throughout the day. I don't think, because if you think about it, everyone eats, right? Everyone has food. Sounds kind of weird to say, but I don't think we truly realize how much time is spent when it comes to food. In terms of, going to the store, buying food, bringing it back to your house, putting it away, preparing it, cooking it, eating it, cleaning up the dishes. There's a lot of little things that happen with food that you don't really think about. And so for me, I'm blown away by how much more time I have in my day to do more work, which is great. In terms of preparing Huel, I might as well show you on camera. So obviously I have the shaker here. All you're going to do is add water. They suggest ice as well, but I think water's fine, obviously, in terms of just not having it cool. So just like that, I have obviously the package right here. And keep in mind, I have 5 servings of Huel a day, which equals about 2,000 calories. So here's a scoop right here. 2 scoops equals 1 serving, which is 400 calories. So all I do is basically have a random scoop like that. Just go 1, 2. That's it. And then take this, screw it on, make sure it's completely tight, because obviously you don't want it shooting out. Shake it up. That's it. I just have a meal right here. I do that 5 times throughout the day, and that's it. So it's crazy how much more time. Might as well have some now on camera. It's amazing how much more time I just have throughout the day. And I think the second thing that I've noticed, like I said, even in the past week, is that the mental aspect of food is now removed. Now that I'm fully adjusted to Huel, like I said, there was a huge adjustment period, and I highly suggest that if you do happen to try Huel, please make sure you kind of do a half and half situation, like slowly get into it, where you do Huel just for breakfast or just for lunch, and then maybe go to 2 meals a day. So do breakfast and lunch and then have dinner. I think that's what most people do too when I've done some research, because obviously food is a social activity. So obviously breakfast and lunch I feel like is a little more, you do your own thing. Dinner, typically with friends or with family. A lot of people usually have like solid food or real food, but have Huel for the rest of the day, But now that I'm fully into it, it's amazing as well the mental stress. Like for me, being huge into fitness, I'm always kind of being like, okay, did I have enough vegetables? Did I have enough protein today? Especially, did I have enough macro and micronutrients? Did I have enough, even my other vitamins, right? I have things like vitamin D, I have vitamin K2, I have all these other things that I usually take in addition to normal food just to get everything my body needs to be, functional. And looking at, like I said, all the nutritional facts, it is amazing how this truly has everything your body needs, and I don't even have to take like an extra multivitamin. I don't have to take anything else. I don't have to take another supplement besides Huel. So the mental, I'd say, stress or the mental thing of like, oh shoot, did I have enough of this? Did I have enough of that? Oh no, it's 8 p.m. I should have had more vegetables today. Like the whole mental thing of constantly remind myself, did I have enough of this, this, and this is gone. Which is, I almost feel like this is huge. I know it sounds odd, but there's this huge weight lifted off my shoulders. Now, I want to also say too, I've been asked a lot, how does it taste? That's been another big question, especially in the past week. Like, especially because if you look at the consistency and the color, a lot of people are like, oh, is it weird? The best way I can describe it, and I will say, I have the, as you can see here, the unflavored and the unsweetened version. The reason why it has the least amount of sodium, the least amount of sugar, obviously it's a lot healthier for you because it's not flavored. The best way I can describe it, it kind of tastes like sugar-free oats. I think that's like a good way I would like word it. It tastes like if you take a bunch of oats, ground them up, added some water. I guess technically you do add water, and maybe a light bit of other flavoring. It doesn't taste bad at all, to be honest. Like I don't even think about it. It's not one of those situations where I'm like, oh my god, I have to have more Huel today. I'm not the biggest fan of it. The taste is kind of neutral, which I kind of enjoy because I feel like if it was too sweet, after a while I'd get even like annoyed with it. They do have, I think at least at the time of this video, they have the vanilla flavoring, the chocolate flavoring, and the berry flavoring. And I feel like with all those, even though I bet they taste great, I feel like after a while, I feel like I'd almost get annoyed. Like, especially something like berry, having berry for a month straight, I don't think I'd be the biggest fan of. So I like actually the fact that the unflavored version is a very neutral, like I said, it's a bit of an oaty taste. And so after having it, I enjoy the fact that it's so neutral that I don't get bored of it, but I also don't get like, too excited when I don't know. It's just like the perfect taste for me. Very leveled out that I'm like, okay, I can definitely live off this for the entire month. But it's been good now that I'm fully adjusted. I say the last thing too I will say, especially in the past week that was odd, I think especially in the beginning, was that it was weird to feel full and not having chewed anything. I've been asked a lot, does it fill you up? Does it actually make you feel full? And it does. Like the crazy thing is after having just one serving, especially in the beginning, I would be in this almost minor food coma where I'd be like, why do I feel like unbelievably intense food coma? Now I'm more adjusted, my body's kind of used to it, but still the weird thing is being full or basically going an entire day, like I said, having 5 servings of it, but not chewing. It's almost like the oral fixation I almost miss of like actually chewing the food and all that kind of stuff. So it is a bit of a weird, like I said, adjustment period. Now, I think now that it's been a week, I'm for the most part, I'd say 90 to 95% adjusted, where I think my body's still kind of getting used to this whole powdered food concept. But overall, it's been good. I'm really excited to see what the next 3 weeks kind of play out. Because like I said, this first week was a major adjustment period. I bet that this first week, at least I'm assuming, was probably the hardest period or portion of this entire month. Because obviously it's kind of getting acclimated to, having it and all the logistics and especially how my body feels in terms of the absorption process and everything. But now I'm fully adjusted. Now I'm ready to go. So we'll see what happens the next few weeks. It is officially the halfway point of this whole experiment of having Huel for a month. And honestly, it's actually going really well now. Honestly, I don't even think about this whole like food, powdered food, Huel, meal supplement thing. I'm just like, oh, I have my Huel every day and I just go about what I normally do. One thing I want to kind of bring up, this has been a big question I'm getting, is cravings. At this point, now that I'm halfway through, do I still get cravings for regular food? Obviously, in the beginning, I got that craving for that kind of oral fixation of the kind of chewing of food. I would say now that we're at the halfway point, those cravings have definitely gone away. I found over time, went from having that oral fixation, right? Like I almost wanted to chew something, and it was weird being full without chewing anything. Then it kind of moved to me craving just regular food, right? Like say me and my friends go out for Friday night, and we get back, and they're like, hey, Mark, we're going to order some pizza. You want some pizza? I'd have to be like, well, I mean, sorry, I have to have the powdered food in my, like, so it kind of got this weird thing where I then started craving more, maybe not the best food, right? Like things that were maybe sugary or just fast food, right? Things that were negative or not good for you at all. I know, say for me, I naturally do eat really healthy, but it's interesting that over time, now I really, if I do get a craving, it's usually only for something bad. Never for anything good. It's not like I get this big craving for broccoli, for example. It's only something bad, and it's interesting because obviously Huel is very, very good for you. Unbelievably low in sugar and basically all that kind of negative stuff. So maybe it's just that I'm weaning my body off, being reliant on sugar or bad things. Even though I do eat very, very healthy, maybe I'm just completely weaning myself off of anything negative in my complete diet. Which is a pretty interesting, kind of side effect of this whole experiment, but it's pretty awesome. Now, talking again, I guess, about those Friday nights, one thing I've not brought up is alcohol. This has been a big question I've been getting is, well, Mark, like, I see you going out to all these nightlife events. Obviously, for me, being big into the entertainment scene here in LA, I go to a lot of events and I cover a lot of them for YouTube. And a lot of people say, well, are you drinking on this kind of Huel stuff? And the answer is yes. Now, in the beginning, I was unbelievably hesitant to consume any alcohol because on one end, I was like, well, technically, Huel's giving you calories. It's filling you up, right? I feel full after having it. So I should be okay to drink when I'm having it. But on the other end, as we all know, it's kind of drinking 101. Well, you always have to eat before you go out. And maybe because it's not the solid stuff, I guess, is it going to affect... is it going to be like almost drinking on an empty stomach, right? Like I would never have a protein shake before I start drinking, right? Because it wouldn't be the same as having pasta, for example. And interestingly, in the beginning, I would have like one drink and wait a while, see how it affected me, see how I felt, then have a second drink, then wait a while. And interestingly, I have noticed zero difference between drinking on Huel and drinking after having like solid food or regular food. And I think the reason why, because I was thinking about this, it was weird because I would not expect that. It was very counterintuitive. I thought, look, drinking on Huel and consuming alcohol on Huel is probably going to be vastly different than having solid food. But the weird thing was, there was no difference. And I think the reason why, at least the way I look at it, is if you, like, say, have pasta before you go out drinking, obviously it'll put something in your stomach and then you drink and that's okay. But let's say you took all that pasta that you were going to eat, ground it up in a blender so you have the powder, and then drank it. Well, even though, yeah, it's in powdered form, I mean, you're still getting all that stuff from the pasta. So I guess the way to look at it is that's kind of similar to what's going on with Huel. At least that's kind of my theory. But interestingly enough, I've noticed no difference consuming alcohol. I am still very careful because I still feel like, especially the way Huel works with your digestion system and everything, I still am a little bit careful when I drink. Again, as you always should be. But I will say that I've noticed zero difference, which is unbelievably surprising, and pretty awesome too. Now, the last thing I want to basically talk about in this video, right, in terms of how I'm feeling, again, this being the halfway point, is working out. Now, way back when, years ago, for my dedicated subscribers and everything, they know about a thing I did called the Light Nearby Project, way back when in 2014, so this was 5 years ago. And among that project, I was basically making an album, traveling around the country. I basically turned a van into a mini apartment and lived out of it for 10 months. And one of the parts of this whole project was living off this powdered food stuff called Soylent. Now, a big topic that's always kind of brought up, especially, online if you do any Google searches, is Soylent versus Huel, or vice versa. Which one's the better one? Soylent was kind of the first ever meal replacement supplement that got super popular, where they said, hey, this stuff called Soylent, you can permanently live off without any other things added to your diet. Huel's the second one. I'm being honest, being transparent on camera. I prefer Huel's formula and what's in it way more than I do for Soylent. Now, again, I'm not affiliated with either company. That's just me just being honest. I prefer Huel way more than Soylent. And I remember in 2014, I lived off Huel for a few months, actually. I think close to 5 or 6 months. So it was a long time. And one thing I noticed with Huel was when I would do my workouts, I'd be so much more exhausted. I felt like that I was operating at 50% efficiency. Like, I just couldn't, I just couldn't push myself. I couldn't activate that fourth or fifth or sixth gear when I was working out. And I was worried when doing this experiment, because I still remember that from 5 years ago. Is that going to be the same with Huel? Are my workouts going to suffer? And my physical fitness going to suffer as a result of doing this? Crazy enough, and really enough, I've noticed that not only can I work out at the same level that I normally do, I can actually work out harder. I find that I can actually push myself way more significantly doing what I'm doing now, this whole Huel experiment, than I did when I was eating regular food and solid food and normal food. I don't know why. I have a couple different theories, but it's interesting that, my workouts are significantly harder. And I'm like, how can I work out this hard? One thing I was thinking about is maybe that with Huel, the idea is that having those 5 servings of Huel that I have a day, it gives your body everything it needs, the complete package, right? And obviously, like anybody, especially me being an entrepreneur, time is of the essence. So I'm constantly bouncing around doing so many different things that there are some days I know that I don't get everything. I might get 75% of what I really need for my diet. Maybe I'll get 80 or 90%, or maybe the 100%, right? And it kind of goes back and forth. But the cool thing with Huel is that it's always 100%. I have those 5 servings. I know I don't need anything else in my diet. So one of my theories is maybe that because Huel has given me so much I need in my diet and more on top of that, right? There's a lot of other things that Huel has in it that you don't typically get in your diet that are extremely good for you that most people need, like in terms of other supplements, right? Whole other subject for other video. And as a result, I've noticed that because I think I'm just getting maybe all that stuff, to kind of encapsulate it, all that stuff throughout the day, every day, I find that maybe my body's just way more fueled up. I find that I can activate those extra gears and then some as a result of my diet pretty much being 100% Huel. Again, something that I would not expect. Like I said, both the alcohol-related effect of not having actually any effect while drinking on top of eating Huel, but also the working out effect. It's amazing that now that I'm halfway, it's interesting noticing all these amazing benefits. Since it's officially been 3 weeks since I've been on Huel, I feel like I've gotten a pretty good scope of both the good parts of Huel and all the benefits, and obviously the negative side as well. No product is ever perfect. And on any single video or review I do of any product, anything I'm reviewing, I'm always transparent about the good and the bad. And so far in this whole experiment of having Huel for a month, all my prior videos have been positive, right? About all the benefits of Huel. And I've had people hit me up saying, hey Mark, I noticed that most of your videos are really positive and upbeat and how much you're loving Huel, but what are the bad effects? And there's got to be something that's not great about it, right? Like living off technically powdered food, there's got to be some negative side effects. So in this video, in this part, right, now that's been 3 weeks, now they've got, I think, a really good scope of Huel, I'm going to talk about a little bit of the negative side effects, right? Obviously, there's been so many positive effects as well, but obviously, with the good, sometimes comes the bad, right? Now, before I get into that, I think one thing I have to bring up is weight loss. A big question I'm getting is, are you losing weight while living off Huel? Or even more so than that, if I'm trying to lose weight, or if someone's trying to lose weight, is Huel a good alternative or a good thing to buy if you're really trying to lose weight? Now, first off, I have to say, especially when it comes to weight loss, is remember that just because you're drinking something doesn't mean you're not consuming calories. I know that sounds simple to say, but I think when a lot of people think of oh, there's just this shake or smoothie that I'm going to have, maybe will help me lose weight. And it's well, no, even though something's still in liquid form, that doesn't mean you're going to be burning less calories or not consuming them, right? This is why, for example, when it comes to alcohol, yeah, if you have 6 or 7 beers, you're still consuming those calories, right? So it's not like you're avoiding calories or finding this crazy loophole by having something in liquid form. So keep that in mind when it comes to Huel. But the second thing I will say is that I think if you are trying to lose weight and you're looking at Huel as a potential option, I say that yes, when done right, I think that Huel could be a great option to lose weight. I think simply because it's a good tool for substitution. And that's one big thing I will say. So for example, if let's say, and we've all been there, you're driving, it's late at night, it's 10 p.m., you had a long day at work, and you're driving, you're like, oh, I'm tired, I don't feel like making food, I just want to have something to eat, and you see that glowing McDonald's sign, glowing In-N-Out sign, being here on the West Coast, it's very tempting to be I'm hungry, I'm starving, I don't feel like making food. You don't want I'm just going to get McDonald's. I'm just going to get In-N-Out or whatever. So the good thing with Huel is because it's so good for you, it's a good substitution, right? So one, if let's say I'm tired and I don't feel like cooking or cooking and cleaning, and the whole process that comes with making food, Huel is a great option. If let's say I'm traveling where, yeah, I don't mind making food, but I don't have access to a kitchen, a microwave, I don't have access to healthy food, like say if I'm traveling like in an airport, for example, Huel is a great option too, where I'm like, hey, you know what? I don't have any healthy food around me, but I still want to eat healthy because I'm trying to lose weight. Boom. I have, the Huel bag with me, put 2 scoops in the shaker, shake it up, and I'm good to go. So when it comes to weight loss, I think that Huel can be a good option done right. But keep in mind, if you have, tons of Huel every day and you're trying to lose weight, you're still consuming those calories. So just keep that in mind. Now, moving on to the negative effects, I had to kind of give a quick side note with the weight loss because I've gotten a lot of questions about it. When it comes to the negative side effects, there's been a couple things with Huel. Some of them funny and interesting, some of them just negative in general. The first is that for some reason, I feel like there's like a constant, like almost line of powder on my clothes, on like my laptop, on like my stuff, just in general, right? Like obviously it's powdered food. And it's impossible, I think, especially because if you think about it, I have 5 servings of Huel a day. Each serving is 2 scoops. So that's basically 10 scoops a day I'm having. So every single time I pour a scoop into the water, no matter how hard I try, there's still like a little bit of the remnants that kind of like fly out, right? So and any fitness person knows this. Like when you're having whey protein or any type of supplement, you know that they're just going to get powdered. So there's been so many times where I've like woken up and I like, maybe touch something or whatever. And I'm like, wait, how's your Huel? I haven't even had Huel yet today. How's your Huel on like my Rubik's Cube and my computer and like even my like shirts? I think sometimes I have like a light coating of Huel. So that is one negative thing that I'm just like, it does get a little annoying dealing with just the powdered stuff in general. That's the first thing I'll say. Second thing when it comes to negative side effect is, and I've said this before earlier, is the social aspect, right? Obviously, if my friends are getting food, I have to say, no, I'm going to have Huel. Now, granted, most people don't follow the Huel diet that strict. They more do, like I said, breakfast and lunch, and during the dinner, that's when they usually will have dinner with their family or their friends or whatever. Or even if they're going out, they're like, I'm just going to have a regular meal. So for me, I'm really trying to stick to a 100% Huel diet, so that's just like a bit of like a social thing. And then the third thing, and I talked about this especially right from the get-go, is that it definitely took my body a little bit to adjust to Huel. Like my stomach was not reacting well to it at all. There's been a lot of people who have said the same exact thing when they initially started on Huel, and that's what I said to slowly get your body used to it. And now, like I said, now that's 3 weeks in, and my body's completely used to it. The one thing I will say that's a very odd side effect, and I have some theories about this. I can't exactly pinpoint as to why specifically, but I've noticed that when I wake up in the morning, I am beyond starving. I mean, like stomach ache, almost like anything we've all been there where you almost feel like a bit like sick, where you're like, oh my god, I am starving. The weird thing is I do intermittent fasting. So, I only have food 8 hours of the day. I fast for the other 16. And I'm now starting to reconsider if I'm going to keep doing intermittent fasting while on Huel. I think just because, like I've said before, when you have Huel, it really fills you up super, super fast. So what I've been trying to do now is typically, 2 scoops equals 1 serving. What I sometimes will do now is in one setting, I'll have 2 servings. That way I'm trying to get as many nutrients as I can in my body as fast as possible. Because I find that throughout the day, if let's say I've only had 3 or 4 servings of Huel and I go to bed at night, it's like, well, if you think about it, I've only had 1,500 or 1,600 calories. I've not had even as close to as much as I need, especially with me being so big into fitness and working out. I've not even had as close to as much nutrients as my body needs. So that's why I think when I wake up, I'm so hungry. When it comes to food, on the other hand, or regular food, I usually have at least that 2,000 calorie mark. I usually have that certain amount of protein that I need every day. But with Huel, I find because it fills you up so much, it's hard to have really, really fast, or it's hard to have a lot of in one sitting. So that's why typically what I'll do now is I'll have maybe 3 or 4 scoops with 1 shaker, try to drink that as quick as I can, and then that way I'm able to hit my 5 servings a day, maybe even a little bit more than that, especially if I'm doing like a very rigorous workout, or if it's been just like a very fitness intensive week, I then will have more of it, So those are, I'd say, the 3 negative things. But besides that, I think that now I really just don't think about it. It's almost like just like another thing that I just do now. I don't think about like, oh, I wish I could have this food now. Like those cravings do pop in and out, and I talked about that in the last video, but they're very non-existent. Besides the social aspect, I think if anything, it's more of the social feeling of wanting to be able to have food with other people than the actual craving for the food itself, if that makes sense. It's kind of interesting how now most of my cravings are pretty much gone now. All the cravings are gone. It's more the social craving, if that makes sense. And granted, I guess I could still go to a restaurant and bring Huel with me and sit there and just drink it, but I feel like that'd be kind of weird, if you want to be honest. But, I mean, in terms of this whole experiment, obviously I'm doing a month, which means I only have 1 week left, so it's been going good. Also, there's always negative effects, like I said before in this video, but 1 week left, so see how it finishes off. It's over. It's finally over. The month of powdered food and Huel. It's ended. Just finished up actually eating some real food, some actual solid food. Food coma. I'm a bit of a food coma right now, actually. Like, before I head back to my place, I was like, you know what? I'll just kind of sit down here right outside the restaurant on this curb, film this video. It was an interesting month for numerous different reasons. So I'm going to say, in terms of my overall recap, I actually did enjoy this month. I think there's a lot of things that I experienced, like I mentioned, throughout this entire video series, you know, in terms of like how much time goes into making food, the preparation, you know, in addition, I mentioned also like the mental stress almost, especially for me being big into fitness, you know, I actually just finished up with a workout before I went out to eat. So it's like, you know, making sure I get enough protein in and all the other nutrients that I need. Now, when it comes to Huel, a lot of my friends have asked me, like, okay, Mark, it's finally over. Are you ever going to have it again? Are you never going to touch it? What's your overall perspective? And I think that when it comes to Huel, there are 4 different uses, I think, for it. First off is that, let's say, if you just don't feel like making food. So, like, you know, if like as most people do, if, like, say, you don't feel like making breakfast, or you don't want to do that, or, like, say, if, you know, you don't want to buy lunch or whatever, bam, Huel is a great alternative for that. The second thing, which actually I started to love, is actually post-workout. So, 1 serving of Huel is roughly about $1.80. So if you think about it, that's pretty reasonable for like a small, really, really healthy meal. And that has about 30 grams of protein. And it's vegan, so we obviously, you know, it's all plant-based and everything. So I was like, you know, it's actually a really good post-workout thing. So I think what I'm going to start doing now is, instead of having like a protein shake after my workout, I'll just have 1 serving of Huel, you know. The third thing is, for me, especially in terms of use of Huel, is traveling. I think I'm going to buy a lot of Huel to have on reserve. Because like I say, like, for example, in a couple weeks, I have to fly out to Colorado. As opposed to me having some, like, bad airline food that's super overpriced and super bad for you, I'll just bring Huel. It's airline friendly. I can just do that. If I, like, say I'm driving, because obviously I'm constantly driving around and bouncing around, as opposed to getting, you know, a gas station sandwich, I just have Huel, right? So I think the traveling's the third thing. And I think the fourth thing, above all of this, is laziness. So like, say it's been a crazy day and I don't feel like making food, bam, I just make Huel as opposed to be stopping at In-N-Out or McDonald's or whatever. I'm like, you know what? There's food at the house. Obviously, we all know that feeling of like, all right, do I really need to buy food? There's food at the house. And the good thing is the food at the house, even though it's powdered food, is so good for you and has everything, you know, my body needs. So overall, I think that this whole experiment was a ton of fun. And although I did get a love-hate relationship with Huel, I'm being honest, you know, in the sense that near the end of this whole month, I started to be like, all right, I can't wait to not have to have Huel anymore. But the weird thing was those feelings were only at night. I kind of mentioned that a little bit, you know, earlier in this kind of series, that like for breakfast throughout the day, I love Huel because I'm like, I don't have to make food. I don't have to worry about all the kind of the stuff, the logistics that come around with making food. But then when it came to the nighttime, it'd almost be like the yin and yang of love and hate, where during the nighttime, I was like, oh, I hate Huel. I have to have a 4th or a 5th shake of Huel while all my friends are out getting tacos or burritos. But now obviously I can do what I want. I think now what I'm probably going to do is have a nice balance where I think I'm going to introduce Huel into my diet as a permanent staple in my diet. However, it's only going to be for, like I said, either post-workout or for maybe, you know, for just for breakfast or just for lunch or whatever. But overall, I had a blast doing this whole experiment. Shout out to Huel. This stuff is awesome. You know, obviously, hey, you can live on it for a month. I'm proof of that. And I mean, there are people I've read about who've lived off it for like years now. You know, it's crazy. I guess they're called like Huelists or something like that. Weird term, but yeah, this whole experiment was amazing. And I'm going to say this too. If you do have any comments or questions about it, feel free to post them. I'm not affiliated with Huel. They did not ask me to do this. It was a fun experiment though. I had so much fun. So now, finally back on regular food. And I think now, like I said, I'm going to combine the yin and the yang now of food, where I have regular food and Huel kind of integrated into my diet.